Hi, welcome to my thoughts on Alien Earth, Season 1, Episode 1, Neverland. This episode is rated TVMA, so will this video be? There will be spoilers for the entire Alien franchise up to and including this episode. I freaking love this. Holy crap, I'm so glad to be watching a Noah Hawley show again. I cannot put into words that human ears would comprehend how much I've missed a Noah Hawley show to dig my teeth into since finishing watching Legion, which, in fairness, was not that long ago. I don't know, months, maybe a year. Time is weird. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep it chronological. I do not remember people's names on this show. They are going. I remember Wendy and the Lost Boys. Everybody else is going to be. I'm gonna try to describe the character or situation well enough that you have any fucking clue what I'm talking about. Some of them will be the actor's name, like Timothy Olyphant, who so glad to see him in something again. He was also great in was it? I think it was Seth Meyers that he appeared on. Could have been Colbert, but yeah. Where they, among other things, talked about his look on this show. Yeah, let's see. I think before I get into chronological, I will start by saying I think this does a really solid job of, by this point, the Alien brand, the franchise's brand, is very well established, and I think this does a really good job. Like, it almost, the very start is very, like, well, it's Alien. Didn't you see the title? Like, the first, yeah. Um, I guess really so far the biggest difference is the whole hybrid thing and the fact that it's on Earth. Yeah, other than that, it is very reminiscent, and here they sought out the alien creatures. Yeah, rather than yeah, fuck. SOS, I think it was in the first one, although it ended up turning out to be like a warning. No, it's X in Ferris. Fuck, there's been. I'm not gonna say too long, but it's been a long time since I watched that movie. Anyway, I think, yeah, I mean, you've got the social commentary, this thing about, there's 5 corporations that own everything. I was going to say on Earth, but it's not even, like, yeah, I don't know, the Milky Way, I guess, planets owned by corporations, which is such a just horrifying concept, and I mean, it's sadly very fucking realistic. Um, let's see. I think that does bring. Right. Other than that, we've got the this thing of like regular people being sacrificed by these corporations. For, you know, they're not sure what step 2 is, but step 3 is profit. And let's see. Yeah. I don't know if I can say everything that should be said about. So let's see. The opening said there are cyborgs, there are synths, and there are hybrids. I don't think I'm going to be able to say everything about them. I definitely think there's a trans reading potential. You have this thing of like, Wendy talking about how her body is different and she's getting used to it. That feels like, a trans allegory, possibly, what's it called? Like prosthetic, some, I've heard of in general, like disability, and they do start, these are not, it's not that they feel like it's the wrong body they're in so much as it's, the body they're in is fucking dying. So there it's closer to a disability reading, but I feel like there's some of both. I am not the right person to do those readings. I look forward to hearing trans YouTubers talk about them. Talk about the trans reading. What I can say, and I'm not the first to say it, and it's not the first time I talk about it, there is definitely some autism spectrum coding going on with, in the movies it's been synths. Here it's also cyborgs and hybrids. Um, yeah. Uh, so with Tang, there are a lot of people who are uncomfortable around him because of certain things habits he has that he has been told not to do, and they are considered socially unacceptable. Um, he takes pride in the fact that he does his job well. Like they're like, so did you check? Are you asking me if I did my job? Which is also one of those. I forget. I think it was an article on back when there was a College Humor website. I think that was removed when they became Dropout. But there was this article where a person on the autism spectrum pointed out that autists can be funny, often unintentionally so. Because I don't think the Ting is trying to make a joke there. It's just I I'm not sure he's it sounds like he isn't sure what the question is, which is all, and then afterwards she's like, no, how much time? And then he gives it in seconds, which is not very relatable. So it's that thing of, I say it with love. I've met, I don't know, a couple dozen people on the autistic spectrum in my life. They can be absolutely wonderful people. There's, yeah. Let's see. The what was the other thing? The thing about, apparently they don't like Tang to be standing and eating near them. They want him over by, that is, sadly, there are a lot of neurotypicals who don't want to be around, autistic people. Like, he's literally part of the fucking mission. Like, he's doing his job, but they find him, socially, yeah, they're uncomfortable around him, even though he's not actually doing anything like genuinely harmful. Though obviously it would be good. I guess by the end of this episode, it doesn't really matter because I'm pretty sure he's dead. I think the only person left alive was the cyborg. But it would be good if he stopped watching people while they sleep. But at the same time, it's not like he's doing something that actually causes harm. It's just uncomfortable. And I'm not saying he should keep doing it. Absolutely not. I just feel like some of their reactions to him feel like overreactions. But yeah, a lot of people uncomfortable around people on the autistic spectrum. It really sucks. Neurodivergent people in general. Yeah, a lot of people. And that's part of why we have to, I hope this episode can be part of enlightening people, I also think the movie Amélie Poulain, I think it's called, the French movie. Yeah, that one also, the protagonist is definitely coded, if not 100% actually on the autistic spectrum. And yeah, that's a movie that really shows the positive sides of yeah. I think that does pretty well cover that. Yeah, and with the cyborg also, I mean, yeah, he's completely dedicated to his mission. He really doesn't think of, there's that thing about like he could save that woman. Like I don't. I suppose I don't know if there is room down in the room for both of them, but it's still really, really cold, and that is something, I'm willing to acknowledge, sometimes some people on the autistic spectrum can come across as cold and like very oriented on a specific task and not really caring about anything else. It's one of those things. fuck, I think it was Elliot Sang who pointed out it's silly to focus on neurodivergence so much. We got to get over just, well, let's see. I guess with my ADHD, I believe I technically qualify as neurodivergent myself. So I guess y'all gotta fucking get with the program and stop treating us like there's something inherently wrong with us, because as Elliot Sang pointed out, he was talking specifically about narcissists. Most, the huge, let's see, I think it was most abuse is at the hands of neurotypicals. So yeah, I think that does. I guess there might be more, but I think I'm gonna get into chronological, and it'll come up on its own. But yeah, I thought they did a really solid job. In the opening minutes is like Alien. We've got the computer coming on with the. They tone it down slightly. If you watch the movie recently, you might remember it's like genuinely an unpleasant sound. And in the first movie, they also spend several minutes before there's anything. Like, we're just seeing how empty the ship is during cryosleep, Here, they get to, is, I think, in part audience retention, but also it's not really necessary. This particular story doesn't really call for it. I think it is justified in the original 79 movie. Let's see. I love how Noah Hawley just really. I can't believe I almost called him Josh Hawley. Noah, if you're watching, I apologize. That was uncalled for. I don't know why my mind just same last name. I swear that's all. Anyway, Noah Hawley's shows. Having watched these two, I think at some point I probably will fucking watch Fargo, because like. God, Noah Hawley makes amazing shows. I am really glad this is as artistic, if not yet at least quite as trippy as Legion. But the fades and the jumping back and forth in time, and the kind of existentialist shit going on, because on Legion, it's a bunch of people who are unique, trying to find a way to be happy, find out how they fit into this world. And yeah, here with the Lost Boys, like they're talking about, one of them was really scared during sickness and also health. And, they talk about, well, can we even still die? Do our batteries run out? These things that like, yeah, like it gets to something, because like we do all on some level fear death. And yeah, just seeing these characters that like canonically are children in adult bodies talking about their death. Yeah. Fuck. I hope Noah Hawley keeps making shows as long as he has such fucking interesting ideas and themes. Because that's another thing. Like, this doesn't feel like, oh, it's just Legion again. There's some significant differences. Yeah, for one thing, the Lost Boys are not so much unique as like they're fuck. How many are there? 6. Let's go with half a dozen of a kind. And they're trying to figure out this shit. But yeah, on Legion, like you've got characters who are genuinely like, some of them are mutants. They have an ability that seemingly nobody else has, and yeah, they have to find out how that all fits with this world that is very hostile to those that are different. I think that does bring us to so yeah, the fact that he hears the one seemingly only surviving crew member, and he walks over and like, yeah, she thinks he might save her. I wasn't particularly convinced that he would, but seeing him actually weld the door shut right in front of her was still fucking cold. Jesus. And yeah, you know, she's like, asshole. And yeah, he goes over, writes, crew dead. Yeah, I mean, technically that is an accurate statement. It's just you had a little bit of a hand in making that happen. Um, yeah, but the xenomorph. I wasn't sure how soon we were going to see an adult xenomorph or a drone, depending on how you want to express it. And yeah, you know, it attacks. I thought they did a fantastic job. It's one of those things. The xenomorph has at this point been overexposed. We all know what the fuck the thing looks like. I'm gonna just real quick check if that's something important. It was not. Good to know. Anyway, the yes. So the yes, it is very important how you film and edit scenes featuring xenomorphs today, because if you just let the camera rest on it, not unlike near the end of Covenant, yeah, we're just like, okay, I mean, it's a cool design, but it's just not, it doesn't have the same impact. And I thought they did a really solid job here. Like, it's cut very frenetically, and like the camera does, you know, is there such a thing as xenogaze? Because it did feel like the camera was kind of in love with the, you know, the part of the, I guess the head of the xenomorph. But yeah, very effective pan across, and that's how you do it. Don't try not to show the whole fucking thing in frame for very long. And so far that's what they do, and we just see the mouth and, you know, bares its teeth and it pretty quickly gets the fucking door open. Jesus. But yeah, he manages to get into the secure area, and yeah, they crash. And that's another thing. Like, him being completely calm during the crash technically is, you know, ideal. You don't really want to panic, though it is understandable in a situation like that. You know, if Cyborg had panicked, Cyborg wouldn't have survived the crash. Nobody else did. It seems like even Tang died, and he was a synth. You know, so it's not like that guarantees. Um, but of course, it might not be so good for the search and rescue that Cyborg survived. Let's see. Yeah, so I do not remember her name, so she's going to be pre-Wendy. Right, before I go any further, fantastic casting and acting. Everyone amazing. The casting department really had their work cut out for them, because they have to cast two versions of the Lost Boys, you know, the pre and the post. Yeah. And they did phenomenal. And yeah, like this little things like the conversation about the scorpion, you know, and like, yeah, um, Timothy motherfucking Oliphant, you know, being like, well, I mean, I think it's important to consider the perspective. You know, maybe the scorpion wasn't a bad adaptation of Hitman nearly 20 years ago, and is really tired of people still bringing it up nearly all this fucking time later, you know? So maybe you should just get another chance, and we can see how amazing he is in other things, you know? I don't know. Seriously, that is like the one time where I was like, Timothy Oliphant, you kind of fucked up here. And I don't think it was really his fault. It seems like, because it was quite consistent. Like, he was probably directed to, or failing that, the director should have caught, oh, this performance isn't really working. And the movie had much bigger problems than that. Yeah, I do prefer the other attempt. I think, let's see, Hitman Agent 47, I think that movie's called, with Rupert Friend. I'm not saying it's perfect. I understand why some people absolutely hate it. I don't know if we're ever going to get like an official feature-length Hitman movie that really captures the games, but I feel like, you know, just watch the movies that inspired, you know, and get, you know, that, yeah, get your fill there. Anyway, yeah, she walks, and this thing of like just the moment you're seeing, she's nearly bald, and she's got this IV that's portable, you know yeah, it's pretty clear she's very, very sick, possibly dying very soon. And the little thing of Neil Armstrong, and you're gonna be the first too. I'm going to the moon, sweetie. And he boops her nose, which helps ease her into this whole, because it is like a really weird thing, and he snaps his fingers, and later she's the one doing it for some of the others. And yeah, it's not subtle, the whole Peter Pan thing, but I think it works. They are never going to age, and yeah, they will never leave Neverland. The Lost Boys will forever be there, and Wendy is going to stay in Neverland, which, that is, let's see. What was I feel like I've heard of at least one adaptation where she stays in Neverland, or maybe it's just that there's like conflict over will she stay, or something like that. I haven't watched every version. I do think that the Ever Anderson version is much better than the original animated. It updates a lot of stuff to where it's, not really bigoted for no fucking reason at all. Like, Jesus Christ. I know it's a product of its time, but still. I think that does bring us back to the, yeah, little conversations, the thing about, I told you can't see your brother until you become Wendy. I can see him, but he can't see me. Very, and that I'm going to leave the reading to to members of those communities. But I feel like there's something there as well. Yeah, I think that does bring us to, yeah, I love the montage and the way that it's edited, the way that the camera moves, down to the ground, then back up, and then now, it's a new person on there, and gradually, the room has more and more of them. I also love that when Wendy, is there, she's looking, she's right there with the sick kid, and there's this guy, you're in my way, sir, and she's like, walk around. Love that confidence. Also super cool when, afterwards she's standing up really tall, and it's like, Wendy, come down, I am calm. And she jumps down and lands, and it's just like nothing, and it's like, Raisha, and she just runs incredibly fast, and we see later she's incredibly strong. She can lift any of the kids. I love the little thing of, one of them raises her hand, and it's like, are you serious with the hand thing? Just ask the question, And the thing with, I want to be a doctor. That's not a question. I'm sorry. That is extremely autism coded, in my opinion. That is 100% how a lot of people on the autistic spectrum would react. Again, I say with love. I'm not laughing at them. I'm laughing with them. But yeah, I think that does pretty well cover. Yeah, Rat, and the thing about, will I be able to walk? And she's, you'll be able to walk and run and jump and dance. And that again feels like there's, yeah, prosthetic limb, yeah, disability reading there. Anyway, yeah, she's got, I think Wendy in her room has almost as many stuffed animals as Savvy Writes Books has American Girl dolls. And she's talking to them and explaining, and it works really well, because, like, it's technically exposition. It's like, okay, his name is Joe. Oh, right, fuck. I guess I know his name. His name is Joe. And, she's watching him, and there's, like, cameras every fucking where, because I guess this is, I don't know, England. But yeah, again, Big Brother is watching. There's already so much surveillance. Our information is being sold to third parties when we go on the internet. Yeah. In the future, there probably will be. I mean, there's already technically cameras everywhere, but I mean, like, what the stuff she's watching is clearly not just like people on their cell phones. Like, there's actual cameras, like official placed, and I'm sure they said it's for safety. What do you have to worry about if you're not doing anything wrong? And the fact that it's being used by her to spy on him because he thinks she's dead, which super secret project, and that is also like I am really looking forward to the scene. Like Noah Hawley does such an amazing fucking job at handling like extremely emotional scenes. I was stunned by so much of Legion because of that. And yeah, at some point, I feel like I don't think that they're going to miss this opportunity because there's so much meat on that bone. Her meeting Joe and like I'm thinking she's not going to be able to resist telling him it's me, I forget my name, but we can go with Pre-Wendy, and because she'll know things about him that nobody else could. Maybe that, or maybe she's gonna have to keep it secret somehow. Either way, I would be shocked if they don't get to meet, if he just dies and then she like goes on a revenge rampage. Like that would obviously be the least interesting version, the Hollywood version that many would make. So yeah, let's see. I think that right. When he's at home and he's watching, and again, it's genuinely there's a Noah Hawley and balancing tone. My God, he is so fucking good at it because it's simultaneously creepy and heartwarming that she's watching as he's watching the movie, and they're saying the lines at the same time. And I think it's one of the Ice Age movies. I haven't watched any of those. I don't watch that many like big animated movies these days. That's unless it's DC or Marvel or something. But yeah, and we get we see that they watched it, when she was a baby. They were watching it together, and he's like taking care of her and saying the lines, and just it's so yeah. It's really sweet, but it's also like okay, I do not like that she's watching him and he does not know. Like, we don't even know if he would be comfortable with her watching, especially watching all the fucking time. Like, it would be one thing if she checked in once in a while, but it seems like she's watching any time that he is on a camera that she can access, Let's see. I think that does pretty well bring us to... So yeah, the ship crashes. I love the bit where like water is being that there's a puddle of water that's being affected, and right. Also, we have the thing about Joe. What was it? I talked to him. He said I'm gonna have to serve the rest of my, what was it, like the contract or something. The military kind of thing. I think. Which again, getting screwed over by a corporation or possibly government. For yeah. Yeah, and the thing fucking crashes, and they react very quickly, going to the area and telling people, okay, there's medic over there, and apparently there was only one person who died. Like the ship landed on one person, and yeah. Let's see, we have they go. They have to make a little jump to actually get in, and they're just trying to find survivors and get back out with the survivors because the thing is going to crash. And by the end of the episode, it has crashed, further. I mean, because it was like stuck between buildings temporarily, but the sheer weight of it, gravity and all. Because, it's set after Newton discovered gravity. Which is also why it would be much harder to build a pyramid, because back then they weighed nothing. Anyway, the cyborg, emerges, and and he cuts his way out. So using the tool, the yeah, which is also fun reference to Aliens. They can weld stuff shut, and they can blowtorch their way through stuff, seemingly with the same thing. Certainly the second AVP game seems to think that it's the same basic tool that you use for both. But yeah, he waits for the right time. That was great when we see like we see him and he hears something and the camera's over there, and then they come in and the camera goes back and he's gone. I love that trope. And there was a bit where there was something moving in the background of a shot. Yeah, really, really cool. Let's see. I think because we do know that there's an adult xenomorph, unless it died in the crash. I guess we're gonna find out, because we did not see a body. I think that might have been what was crawling around. It's possible it's one of the other aliens. That is also like, in order to make it distinct, having other, vicious alien creatures is a good way to do that. Yeah. So he manages to zip tie the two of the search and rescue. Even as they're pointing out, this doesn't make any sense. We're not your enemy, but that's the thing. He's Weyland-Yutani? Yes, Weyland-Yutani, I'm pretty sure. It's their kind of shit to do this, yeah. Fuck, wait, because the guy said, yes, it's ours. Oh, but there was a thing about, oh, Miss Yutani will be upset. I guess that means maybe he's not Weyland-Yutani. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think he's Prodigy. So, yeah, Prodigy is trying to claim the vessel and its cargo, pirate law. And Weyland-Yutani is trying to hold on to it because they're already, yeah, because this is set before, I think. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. It's set at some point. And Weyland-Yutani's always fucking risking people's lives to, get these creatures. And that was also great, we risk our life. What was it? We lost good men getting these, creatures. And the cyborg doesn't care because that, no, yeah, but that's the mission, though. What are you talking about? It, does not compute. And, yeah. The little creepy crawly thing. Yeah. First we just see it in the yeah, that was the thing she was feeding, right? Throwing a dead rat in there, and they're just sitting there eating her sandwich, watching it be about to eat. And yeah, we see. Let's see. Then we see like the glass is broken, and one of them climbs out, and then we see like it lowers itself to mere human level, and starts crawling on him. And we're just sitting there waiting for several minutes, like it's coming. Kind of wanted to get it over with because that thing is fucking creepy. We watch this shit for that kind of thing. Yeah, and eventually, he realizes he's like, there's a fucking bug on me, and he can't do shit because he's zip tied. It's part of the DNA of Alien, the franchise. I mean, not the xenomorph, and yeah. To have this, to have someone unable to prevent, creepy alien from, doing something horrible to their, the human's body. It's been there right from the first one, and each movie comes up with some cool variation on it, and now the show has more. And yeah, we're just seeing it crawl around and taking its sweet fucking time. I guess they don't, doesn't have anywhere else to be. And eventually, plunges its, like, little pincers. No, that's not right. Fuck it. The things, into his face or neck or something, and just eats until it's full. And like gets all bloated from the blood it sucks out, and it seems to kill him. And yeah, then it falls down, and we see the other guy, another bug, and then it's on him. Just yeah, Really, really effective. Yeah. I think that does more or less bring us to the end of the episode. Yeah. Fucking love the. So I'm slightly unclear on if he's cyborg or synth, but he's definitely not hybrid because Wendy's the first of those. But Timothy Oliphant, talking about your food. Me? No, humans. Food for most of history. And then they made tools, and they stopped being food. Or maybe they just told themselves that they were no longer food. There's always a bigger fish. And that, again, is such existentialist horror, the existential horror. Just like, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, but point to where he's lying. It's fucking true, and it's something we like to not think about. And media like this can help us process that anxiety because, yeah, obviously, under certain circumstances, we are not at the top of the food chain. And obviously, again, that is a major theme in the Alien franchise. We're not numero uno. They are. And we're just going to have to try to survive. The movies, several of them, I guess... Yeah, let's go with several. Several of them. I guess it's primarily 1 and 3. I guess the other ones have multiple. But in those two movies, there's basically only one xenomorph per, one adult xenomorph per movie, and yet it manages to kill a bunch of humans, proving that we are not the very, we are not number one. So, yeah. Let's see. I think that does pretty well cover. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing them arrive and go on the ship. I know, I realize the second episode is out. I'm thinking day after tomorrow, if there's not too much ice chasing. Yeah. I agree that climate change is a major problem. We gotta solve it. Don't think that movie helped matters because it made a lot of people not take climate change seriously. I think that does pretty well bring us to the... yeah, it's a great place to end the episode, that we don't see them arrive yet. Yeah. I think that does more or less... Yeah, I love how assertive Wendy is. Not really taking no for an answer, no matter who is saying no. So according to the subtitles... that guy in charge, the one who brings up Neil Armstrong, he is named Boy something, and one of the women working on it is named Dame something, which is also fun. Like, I don't know if they're going somewhere with that because those are just interesting. Like, I guess maybe she was knighted, but why is he Boy, and is Boy his name or like title or what? I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I don't watch Noah Hawley shows expecting to understand absolutely fucking everything. And be able to sleep at night. I think that does pretty much bring us to... Yeah, incredible start. Really, really stoked that this show is a thing. Can hardly wait to watch the next episode, and I think after that it's one per week that they're doing until they've shown all episodes. I think they're just doing the one season. Certainly I would rather they do that than try to like draw it out and make it yeah. I think that does more or less... Yeah, just tension and suspense incredible throughout this episode. The way that it will show certain things but omit others. And let's see, I kind of love the way that it jumped back and forth in time, because like I feel like no, they only went into hypersleep, cryosleep once, right? Like that's, we're seeing the, let's see, because they woke up, they yeah. I'm slightly confused, but again, Noah Hawley. I think that does pretty well bring us to the yeah. The actress playing Wendy, I gotta see her in something else as well. Looking forward to more of her performance here because she really nails it. Like the her face, the way the you know her face moves, her tone of voice, and the things she says. That's partly the script, obviously, but fantastic performance. Like this is a grown woman having to pretend that deep down she has the mind of a child, and she nails it. There's a lot of people who can't do that. Let's see. I think it was when I was watching behind the scenes on Split. I think it might have been Shyamalan himself who pointed out a lot of adult actors, if you tell them to play a child, they will play it not as a child, but as like an adult who's maybe like um, a little slow mentally. I think is the right way to. I mean, no offense, certainly. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, and that's obviously not. That's nowhere near what a child actually moves like and sounds like. But that was another thing. Her body language, like the way that she can't quite sit still no matter what. Like there's the thing about, okay, put these headphones on. She puts them on, but she's still not sitting still. The way she raises her hand is also like an adult might do it a little bit more. Like, okay, here we go. Because they're not really playing a game. They're like testing her hearing, which is apparently like extremely like which is also, I feel like, gonna come into play and make her more formidable against xenomorph and other aliens that are deadly. If you can hear them coming before they, because yeah. Um, I think that might just about. And I think it's also interesting, they know a little bit about what happened here, but they don't know everything. There's just like, well, it's dangerous, and she's like, well, send us in then, and that is also like, yeah, it's, bunch of kids in the bodies of adults, and they're really really strong and fast and have super hearing and all this stuff, and they're gonna go up against these aliens, but they don't have training. I'm talking about the Lost Boys, not the aliens. I have no clue what the level of training they may or may not have received is. And yeah, just that's a really fucking interesting setup. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that. It's so unlike the others, because like bare bones, yeah, if there's a non-zero number of xenomorphs on a you know vessel, and there's some humans, and there's going to be like an attempt to survive against. I mean, okay, yeah, that's several of the other movies already, so, or several of the movies, I mean, in the franchise that have that base. Yeah, fuck, I guess the only one that doesn't have that at all is really the third one. Yeah, other than that, each of the movies has at least some of what I've just described. So yeah, got to be careful to not let it become too similar. And so far, I think they're doing a bang up job of that. It does not feel like, okay, it's just that of the movies again. Let's see. Yeah, I did think it was noteworthy, the thing about um, okay, so yeah, a couple of things. Before I get to that, I wanted to say, the fact that she's like, we can do it, and he kind of ignores her, or I think he may, did he say no? Someone said no, and she's like, no, we can do it, insisting, which is also, there's both, the fact that she's technically mentally still a child, and also the autism spectrum coding. Let's see, I think that does more or less bring us to? I also quite like the way that let's see. I think it was Timothy Oliphant. He's like, we agreed not to do this to her. And the other one's like, she is right in front of us. Why are you talking like that? She's right in front of us. But yeah, the thing about the mood is very different, and trying to that's again very autism spectrum coded. Mood regulation and such, and they're talking about, well, maybe we could give her some of these hormones, which also I'm not the right person to do a trans reading, but there's definitely something to dig into there. They specifically say, estrogen and testosterone, so yeah. I think that does bring us to so, the boy, whose last name I forget, the guy in charge, the one who says, well, Yutani can just sue, which is also just like, so it's just this petty bullshit of like, well, claimsies, we got here first, so, nah. And people are fucking dying because of goddamn bullshit corporate, rivalry. Like, because that's the problem. Like, if they had just been like, okay, it's a Wayland Yutani ship, we'll let them handle it. Cyborg wouldn't be killing people. They'd be like, oh, don't worry, we're Yutani too. Wayland Yutani too. We're just here to carry out the rest of the mission, and they could probably prove it to him. There'd be some like official message that they could play for him or something to prove it. Nobody would have to die on that fucking ship. Although obviously Wayland Yutani ending up with these specimens is not a good thing, but yeah. In real life, there are people who suffer because of corporations being petty little shits. But yeah, before he agrees to let the Lost Boys go, leave Neverland, I guess it is. I also really like the one of them who's like, well, maybe our battery will run out, and it's like, that, and they're laughing, because it's funny, because it's they're kids, they're playing something that's also part of why this is so, the way that they move. I mentioned I love the acting. It's not only the Wendy actor. Everyone who appears in this episode, but maybe especially the Lost Boys, like, they do such an amazing job because they have all these little movement things and the way they talk and shit that's like, we through socialization, we as adults learn not to talk like that and move like that and shit, and them going back to something that's been so repressed. Fantastic job. Every single step, the way they move, the way they talk, it's so convincing, and it's just, and it is this thing of like, I don't know how to feel about, because like, okay, it's saving their lives, but at what cost? Like, there's the talk about, well, the mood thing is, and they're not sure if they're gonna fix the, yeah, it's yeah. But yeah, the CEO, the guy who brings up Neil Armstrong, I think he's the CEO, he's like, I mean, one thing before we send them out, GR44, you must follow orders. I must follow my orders.